So we're going to do one more kind of advanced feature of React here, which is called a portal. We want to make this button work here for where you click Adopt Fatboy Slim, because that's the greatest name for a dog, so that you can actually go and adopt it, right? But we want to make sure people are like, are you sure you want to adopt this? Because adopting a pet's a big responsibility, right? So you want to pop up a modal, because everyone loves modals. I hate modals, but I'm going to show you how to make modals, right? So a modal is something that pops over your screen and says, like, are you sure you want to do this, right? It's a really annoying design pattern that we keep doing to ourselves. And I'm perpetuating the pattern by showing you. Yeah.
If you hate modals, what's the better alternative?
Just like inline confirmations. I don't know. I think there's better design patterns to lean on than, like, it's just kind of a lazy pattern, in my opinion. Alerts. No, I'm just kidding. That's a joke. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think more about it, but I think there's better ways. So the thing that I want to accomplish here is that I have this details page, right? And I want to click Adopt Fatboy Slim, and I want it to pop over a modal that covers the whole page, right? Now that would be really hard because this is already nested within several layers of markup, so taking over the whole page might not be possible given the CSS that lives above it. So how do you do that? There's not really a good way of doing it. It'd be much better if you look at my markup here. I have root right here. It'd be cool if there was like a modal above it that I could render into, right? And so we're going to do that with portals. So what I want you to do is I want you to open your index.html file inside of the source directory. And then above root, put pound modal with nothing in it. So once you've done that, line 11 there, I want you to make a new file called modal.js, modal.js. I'm going to import React and use effect and use ref. We'll talk about what use ref is here in just a second, from React. And then I want you to import create portal from React-DOM. I'm going to say const modal root equals document get element by ID modal. And then here we're going to say const modal equals a function which takes in children and returns function. So we're going to use a thing called refs here. So I'm going to say const lref equals use ref, and I'm going to give it null for now. So use ref, it's an interesting thing. So I'm going to have this element that I'm going to create, and I want to always refer to the same element, right? Because when I create a modal, I'm going to be creating markup, and when I destroy the modal, right? So as soon as I pop down the modal, I need to go back and destroy it, right? And I need to go unrender it. Because if I don't destroy it, then I'm going to leak memory. If I open and unopen modals a bunch of times, I'm just going to keep creating markup and not destroying it. So you kind of have to like clean up your own garbage here is what I'm saying. And useRef allows you to do that. Because you have renders and re-renders, you need to refer to the same DOM elements across renders, right? So I can't just say like, I can't just create the DOM element in here, const, what did I say? Const div equals document.create element div, right? So this would be creating a new div every single time, and that's what we want, right? We want one div created once. So what we're going to say here is we're going to say if lref.current, if I don't have an lref, create a div, and then say lref.current equals div. Now, using this hook, I always am going to have a div, right? A correct div, the same div. Because lref is an object, and this .current is always going to be pointing at this div. Does that make sense? Okay, and then I'm going to use effect here. Use effect. So once this renders for the first time, I'm going to say modal root dot append child lref dot current. And actually, you know what you could even do here? You could actually just move this in here. This doesn't even have to be out here. So instead of use effect, just say modal root inside of the use effect here. Modal ref append child lref dot current. So I created this div, right? And this is going to go inside of here. And then here I'm going to say return. So use effect has a special feature that I haven't told you about. If you return a function, that is the cleanup function. So it'll run this when it unmounts, right? This is the component will unmount of hooks. So if I return a function that at the end of it will say modal root dot remove child lref dot current. So it's only going to run this function whenever the modal root gets closed. Does that make sense? Okay, and then down here we're going to say return create portal div. Well, we're going to wrap it all in a div. Children. And lref.current. The reason why I'm wrapping in a div, again, is because I styled it with a div. That's all. And then down at the bottom, export default modal. So just to kind of like recap the whole life cycle of this modal. The other thing that, by the way, that I'm not doing here that you should do if you're going to do a modal, I think one of my biggest complaints about modals was they're not very accessible, and they're hard to make accessible because you have to trap focus, and trapping focus is not easy all the time. And what we're not doing here is trapping focus. So I don't know how to do it well enough off the top of my head to show you how to do it, but just Google how to trap focus in a modal, and you'll have a lot more smart people than me doing it. So what I want to say here is we grab the modal here, the one that we created, right? Then we append this div, right? And inside of that div, we're going to have all of the children, right? That's where we do the append child here. And then at the end, we'll remove it. But the cool part is like this is actually getting rendered to another part, right? Using this create portal function. This is getting rendered to a different part of the DOM. And then once it gets unmounted, it'll get unmounted from that. But what's cool is like I can use all of the state and render that into a different part and then unrender it later using the same function. Follow me so far? All right, so let's go make this work. I want you to go into details.js. Oh, you know, one thing that we didn't do that would have been a disaster if we hadn't fixed? How often do we want this effect to run? Once, right? So how do we make an effect run once? Comma, empty array. This has no dependencies, so we want it to run once. Otherwise, every time that the children got updated here, that's not true. This probably still would have been okay because this has no state that's changing over time. But even still, we only want this to run once. That could have been a potential future source of bugs.